Hi, my name is Joe. I'm here with my good friend Leah Holmes. She's going to walk us through one of my least favorite exercises, which is the single leg squat, just because of how hard it is to do. But she's going to talk us through about all the benefits and things to worry about while you're doing the exercise.
Hi, I'm Malia. So the single leg squat is actually used almost in everything that we do daily. Every step you take, if you're going upstairs, downstairs, if you're running, everything you do, you're using a single leg squat to some extent. There's a lot of different benefits to our single leg squat. We use it most often in activities of daily living to make sure we're increasing exercise. So we're going to talk about the different, the torque of the single leg squat is going to be at the patella, your kneecap. So when you actually start into flexion, your kneecap is, or standing up, your kneecap's in neutral. As soon as you start to go into flexion, the torque of the angle of the kneecap is going to go down inferior and medially. So we can show here on our video the torque of the kneecap as it's there. Okay. And it's going to be with using our quadriceps, our gluteals, our hamstrings, our abdominals are very, very important parts of our muscles as we're doing a single leg squat. Come on. Enter, go. Pause. Are you ready? Okay. So some of the factors that are affecting our single leg squat are going to be the strength of the quadriceps, hamstrings, gluteals, the abdominals, and also the flexibility of the leg. Because if you don't have flexibility, you're obviously not going to be able to do a full single leg squat or even part of it. Yeah, Joe, you got some. We saw it already.
I don't know.
So if you notice here, we have a little girl that's in complete craziness of flexibility, and then a beautiful leg shot of all the different muscles that are definitely needed for the single leg squat. Some of the other factors are going to be the Q angle. In a female, the Q angle is a little bit different. If you notice here, the femur is actually going to come more medially than in a guy. Also, you want to look at supination or pronation of the foot, and that's going to actually have a different effect on someone doing a single leg squat. And so some of those are going to contribute to the errors of the single leg squat. One of the errors that we're going to do, I'm going to actually have Joe demonstrate an error. So this is what we want to show you not to do when you do it. If you notice here, his knee is going way over his toe, and we want to make sure that that does not happen. So that is going to be anterior translation. Another one is going to be when he goes down and then his knee goes medially here. That is another problem that we want to make sure and correct. And then the last one is here when he's actually in anterior pelvic tilt, so his butt is kind of sticking out, and if he goes down, when he does it, he's going to be forced to go forward, and you're going to end up having a lot of problems with that. So one main way to correct a lot of this is to actually have cueing and touching of making sure that they're going and doing the single leg squat correctly. We're going to have him demonstrate a correct one where you only have to go part way, Joe.
All right.
Okay, and so he's got his leg up, he goes down and comes back up. So what I want to do when I correct him, I'm going to tell him, so you're going to contract here at your abdominals first. So contract here, and then you're going to do a pelvic tilt this way. It's a posterior pelvic tilt. Bring your leg up, and now bend down, and it should be a little easier, and push back up.
Oh yeah, fine.
Awesome. That's a great job there, Joe. So those are going to be how we manipulate and change and make sure that you're doing it correctly versus the way you were just trying to do it when you want to just go straight down and kind of lose control and balance. Contracting the transverse abdominis is actually going to help you control your balance, which is actually going to help the neuromuscular function of the quadriceps into your glutes, into your hamstrings, and all your other muscles that are needed. So again, another thing is if someone is in pronation, and so that's going to make it into valgus, we're going to tell you to supinate. So one should try to bring your foot up this way a little bit more, not quite that far, but go ahead and put your foot flat. But just think about that foot coming up, not all the way down.
Okay.
So when you do that, go ahead and so you're going to tighten first, go down and bring that foot, there you go, and push back up. Okay. You notice a big difference in that. Yeah. And making sure how to correct that when you have that problem. I do have a video here if you're interested in watching that. It's a 4-minute video of actually how to do it correctly and correcting some of the problems that are in a single leg squat. The last problem that we need to really watch for, a lot of times people will actually, when they're going to single leg squat, they kind of drop their hip, or when they're running, they drop one of their hips. So if you actually look here, and that's also called the Trendelenburg problem. If you notice here, the hip is very much dropped compared to different sides in the runner. Even standing into the single leg squat, she shows that. So Joe doesn't do that actually, which is really good. But if I was to have him, if he was to do it, I would actually have him try to sit here and then tighten first, and then sit down and come back up.
Yeah, that's what's comfortable.
Yeah, because you're trying to use muscles that you
Right.
aren't used to. So we're using our energy. We have eccentric and concentric energy. So we have a lot of force going on. So one of Newton's laws is going to be against gravitation. So when you're going down, you're going to be doing your eccentric. So you're really engaging in your quads and your glutes, and you're using more force going down but less velocity, because you really want to be slow and controlled going down. And when you're coming back up, it's concentric, where you're using less force or more force and less velocity, because you're going up and you're using more power.
Competing against gravity.
Right, exactly. So if you're doing that, we'll see here as you're going down. Yep, you're going all good.
Got it.
And come back up. Awesome. So you notice that he's having to really control himself going up and down in the single leg squat. I do have another video here that you can watch that will play. Oh, sorry. Where's my mouse?
Exercise 5. Single leg squat. Stand on your left leg. Lift your right foot out in front of you, keeping your toes pointed toward the ceiling and your knees slightly bent. Stand tall, don't round your shoulders, and keep your left knee over your ankle as you lower down into a squat. Your hands can extend out in front of you for balance. Push into your heel to come back up and repeat. Start with shallow squat.
Some of you might wonder why the single leg squat. So do you have any
Why?
any ideas, Joe?
The most pain possible in one workout, is that what it is?
Yeah, no, it really shouldn't be any pain. Come on now, we got some good legs here. So some of the things that every day, as you said, you're walking upstairs, you're using pretty much your same mechanics. You're using that single leg squat.
Right.
Going downstairs is even more so, because you're having to go against gravity, gravitational force pulling you down, and you don't want to go down too fast. And yeah, you want to be able to control that. So again, here, we can also use it with seeing where your deficiencies are in rehabilitation. So say you had an injury, knee injury, or you have had hip injuries. So we can adjust your workout in your single leg squat to increase the muscle where you're having deficiencies, because we can tell when you're doing your single leg squat where you're going to be needing more control and less control.
Compensating here or not.
Exactly. So there's definitely that. We can also reduce the risk of injury and also try to reduce the risk of re-injury if we've already had that issue. So some of the movements, flexibility, we notice here, especially in your lower leg as you're doing this. When you did the single leg squat, did you feel it kind of in that calf area?
I do, yeah.
In your gastroc?
I feel a lot of it.
In your calf area. So you actually definitely need flexibility in your gastroc and your soleus, as well as your hip flexors and into your abdominal area. So again, our energy is going to be with concentric and eccentric. And firing your glutes, firing your abdominals, your transverse abdominis is going to be probably your most effective core that you really want to focus on. Making sure you're in a posterior pelvic tilt as opposed to an anterior. Because as soon as you go into an anterior, it's going to push you forward, and that's not where you want to be.
Right.
So you want to go down, not forward. So we're going to do one more, and he's actually going to show you a full pistol squat.
I didn't set up for that.
It's okay, you got this. Okay, he's going to go all the way down and back up. That's awesome. And I'd like to give Joe a great big hand on that. Nice job, Joe. And so, yeah. So this is some of our muscles very defined here, where you're going to see all the muscles that are activated with a single leg squat, looking at the torque of the leg and descending into the kneecap. And then again, watching the quadriceps here into the glutes as they come back up and put the torque or put the patella back into neutral and then as they are standing. Thank you. Thanks for listening. I hope you got some great information on a single leg squat. I'd really like to thank Joe. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everything. Thanks.